Hello and welcome. It's me, Persita, and this is Persita's Paradox. Thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate you, your time, and effort in finding me on this thing called YouTube. And if you are a new subscriber, I greatly appreciate you because I've noticed I've had a few increases, and I greatly appreciate everyone who has joined. And if you are new altogether, please feel free to like, share, and comment. Of course, subscribe and do all those other things. My OGs, come on, I had to shout you out and make sure that you know that this love that I have for you, man, I can't even say it. So let's get started. I wanted to talk today about really learning how to simply breathe through it all. And you might say, girl, what exactly are you trying to tell us? Like, there could be times in our lives that we don't want to breathe. Maybe we want to just go off. Maybe we want to be in a position where we express ourselves, or we let people know what they have done to us, or we put our fingers in their face and we let it be known that we are hurt. There's a time and a place. I know that you understand this because everyone that's probably watching this video is very grown, and you understand that there's a time and a place. But let's come up with a balance today. That's what the question is really about today. Do you have a balance? Do you understand what it is to actually be able to express yourself, but not really flip out? And what I mean by flip out is I don't necessarily mean not flipping out on a person, because, you know, some people it's got to happen, right? But in the exact same breath, I think that this idea that we have of just getting older, right? Our number changing, getting larger by the year, so to speak, comes with wisdom. And I'm a strong proponent in understanding that that is actually a far cry from the truth. There are so many people who are not allowing themselves to either have a balance in the positive or the negative. And you might say, well, what do you mean a balance in the positive? Well, look at it from this place. I'm a huge proponent on loving yourself. I'm huge on saying it is super important for you to be able to look yourself in the eye on a daily and like what you see and like it enough to want to protect it. But in the exact same breath, I am also a huge proponent in being clear and to be able to discern who I'm speaking to, if what I am saying is going to be received, and hopefully paying attention to the way that I would need to speak to said person if I really want to be heard. Now, you might say, okay, break down this want to be heard thing. Well, the want to be heard is key, because so many times we want to express ourselves, but we don't really take the time to really understand what the person's language is to communicate. Because at that point, if we're really about to pop off, we don't really care anymore. And that's a dangerous place to be. And I try to not allow myself to be there. And I do that by making sure that I'm clear in everything that I am saying, but also keeping a clear communication of expectations for me in my communication with others. That has helped a lot, not to the degree where it has completely eliminated any drama or any issues with people, because it's just life and that's going to happen, and you're not going to be able to be perfect because perfect doesn't exist. But it does allow me an ability to not want to pop off as often. Now, I don't know about you, but my pop off is really nasty, and I'm kind of an extremist. So if I love you, I love you. And if I don't, I do not. And I have tried my best throughout the years to really learn to find a balance in that, because there's sometimes things that you can't really shift. Like, I can't really beef with a colleague or a coworker if we have a project that we're doing together. It's going to really require us to have to work closely together. One, it does not behoove me to be in a place of anger, because I don't let anything or anybody mess with my money. Secondly, it wouldn't really make any sense because it takes so much energy in trying to be negative. Meaning, how many times have you told yourself that you didn't like somebody and you found yourself really thinking about that person more than you should? It's kind of that. It's kind of that idea of really understanding you really want to walk in the space of truly comprehending that it's not about them, right? It's really going to be about you. And I know you've seen it. I'm sure you've read it. It's all over the internet. There's so many motivational people and spiritual healer type people that'll speak about really releasing the pain and releasing the energy. And I'm going to say that's easy to say, very hard to do. And I understand that, but I do want you to think of it as a routine or a task to try to balance, because it's important for your overall mental health. Now, you may say, well, okay, now that we've covered that, like, when's the time to really be on the negative? Well, again, everything has a yin and a yang. So it would still be in a balance in your negative to understand that if you have continuously communicated, if you have continuously put yourself in a space of vulnerability, let's just say, for a lack of better words, to try to communicate, again, your expectations of a person, and they've just wholeheartedly, one, told you that they understood it, because that's key. Two, agreed to actually change. And three, made no effort to do it. Then at that point, I think the balance of the negative is key, because I really feel like you really want to make sure you're then having some sense of consequence to it. And I don't know about you, it's a terrible thing. Well, I don't really think it's a terrible thing, but society says it's a terrible thing. And I'm going to go with, if I'm there, I'm a huge cusser. And I may possibly use some really choice words if I'm in a pop-off state. I try not to be there as often as possible. I cannot tell you that that's always the key, but that's usually my goal. But if I've gotten to that space, it's typically because there's absolutely not one other thing that I can think that I could have done to make it or the situation or the communication with the person better. I think at that point, the balance is to be able to then pop off. And I'm sure somebody's going to read something in someone's comment under this photo, under this video, or have something to say about what I just said. And, I'm not telling you that I'm perfect. I'm not even telling you to follow suit. I'm just giving you my opinion on how I feel about the scenario. And I would say it is crucially important to make sure that you are clear in how you are wanting to not only be treated, but how you treat others. So let's be clear, even in that statement. I'm never going to disrespect the person unless it's taken to a place where I'm being disrespected. I can't guarantee you, nor do I think that you should guarantee yourself the idea that you're going to just allow someone to disrespect you and there's no repercussion. Again, there's a time and a place. I don't always have to say something to people. I don't always have to actually verbalize my anger. Sometimes it's in my actions. Sometimes it's in my lack of actions. But my point to you is that I try to be as balanced in that negative as I possibly can be. I am a true believer in communication that is clear and that is received on both parts, that's agreed upon, should be damn near contract. It should be solid, because no one can say that they didn't understand what has happened or what should be transpiring. But we're also very clear in understanding that there's a convoluted line that's drawn in that. And there's a delusional moment that can possibly happen in translation between two or more that could then make things a little bit more muddy. And with that being said, I just want you to try your best to not allow whatever's happening to get so deep in your spirit that it causes you to act different with other people other than the situation or the person that it should be directed to. Because what I'm trying to really aim in on is that when you're upset, when you're going through something, we tend to then lean on our emotions and we lash out at people that are easy targets. They're typically people that are close to you. They're typically people that you love. They're typically people who will put up with your mess. The problem with that is that those people burn out and they don't really tell you that they burn out. And by the time you found out that they've burned out, things can get really bad in that relationship. So I say all of that because I want you to be able to be very descriptive and decisive in your directions of anger and miscommunication. And I think as we get older, we think that our age just allows us to have some type of understanding with each other, that we can read each other's minds. It's weird. It's like people will say something like, well, they know me, or they know what I'm about, and, they should know how I move. And I think most of that, 80% of that statement is true. But we also have to remember that people go through things, and that some things that might be happening in someone else's life could then cause them to lose their footing in their communication and understanding of what you're saying. So did you catch that? I definitely am a proponent of a pop off, but I'm also a proponent in making sure that before I pop off, I'm clearly looking at the circumstance. I'm clearly thinking about what the person's going through, and I'm trying to do my best to discern if it's malicious or not, if it's intentional in the regards of trying to hurt me, or if it's just completely a cloud. I want you to focus on what I'm saying today in regards to just really taking the time to make sure that you are clear on your environment, you're clear on your attitude at the moment that the issue could possibly be happening between you and another, or miscommunication, and that you're as aware as you possibly can be as a circumstance is coming from the person. Because remember, you got to really take into regard in life that people are going through things and they're fighting battles that they're not talking about. And not everyone is going to be as strong, right? Or as balanced as the next in regards to life. So I need the idea of us really being strong and loving ourselves and protecting ourselves to be there at all times, with the identification of understanding that you don't live in this world alone, with the communication in yourself, right? That you comprehend that there's a lot of things that could possibly be happening to cause something. So before we pop off, okay, we're just going to agree. Before we pop off, before we take something personal, before we run and go and start scandalizing somebody's name or doing something malicious to a person because we feel like we're defending ourselves before they do it to us, we're going to actually stop and think. And then after we do that, we're going to actually communicate with the person what we're feeling and if that's their intent. At that point is then when you make a better decision on what your pop off should or shouldn't be. So that's the lesson today. I will tell you that as I get older, I feel as if my patience is literally getting smaller. I now understand why the older people in my life when I were younger was like, oh, just wait, girl, until, you get to this certain age, and it's like 50, 60 at the time. And, you're going to be in a place where you're not really going to care about people. And I get it, but I still have this tendency to care. I still have this thing where I'm still aware of people and their feelings, and I'm super sensitive to my own feelings and super aware of my own feelings. Therefore, I try my best to be that way with others. But again, there's a time and a place. Always know that if you're in the right time and place and that pop-off is necessary, it's just necessary. So thank you so much for joining me. As always, you know what I'm going to say. Before you can do any of those things that we talked about, you have to do 3 core things. And those 3 things are living life authentic, or live life authentic. As always, thank you so much for literally joining me today. I greatly appreciate you. I am back on Instagram strong. Please follow me on Persita's Paradox and Living Persita, and make sure that you are a follower on those pages. So make sure you follow me, not only by following me, but follow me by actually hitting the follow button. And make sure you go over there and comment and tell me what you think. I either got some cool fashion photos or I'm giving you some daily motivational. So either way, we can definitely chat. I'm going to start linking some of the things that I wear here. If you notice, I went from wearing makeup to not wearing makeup to wearing makeup because my life is really that crazy. And some days when I'm like, yeah, I'm going to really zhuzh it up and I'm going to be all that, this is how you're going to get the bare face proceeded. So over there, you get to see me all glammed up and doing my thing. So you'll get a good balance, right? You'll feel the balance. And when I give it to you here, you'll feel privileged because you'll actually know that I'm putting in an extra effort. So as always, thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.